Thank you.
Here comes out. Hit a tree head on. So I understand. Are we sure?
That me? All right, good evening. Welcome to the October 1st, 2025 Plastow Planning Board meeting. Charlene, could you take the roll, please?
Richard Anthony.
Here?
Karen Robinson is excused.
Excused.
Dan Kane.
Excused.
Okay. Rich Leclerc.
Here.
Nolan Pelletier.
Present.
Bill Coy.
Here.
I understand Liz is not here. Yep.
Yeah, she's excused also.
Okay. Shay Raymaker.
Here.
And me.
Excellent.
Are you here?
No.
Right.
Maybe physically here, but my mind is somewhere else.
Just, again, as we did last meeting, just by way of consensus, we have our planning board technician, Shay, will be with us, and just by consensus, we're going to allow her to participate.
Yep. Sure.
Right. For voting purposes tonight, I think I'm going to appoint Nolan Pelletier as a voting member. I don't anticipate any voting really, but, well, actually, there are a couple of things, but we're going to appoint him as a voting member tonight. All right, first order of business would be the minutes. You haven't had an opportunity to review the minutes for September 17th, 2025. Take a minute, take a look at them.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from September 17th, 2025.
Second it. Oops. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? It should be 4-0-0. All right. Okay, first on the agenda, it'll probably come up a couple times, but there's a master plan update. And I guess with respect to the master plan update, this applies to the housing portion of the master plan. We have, again, we disseminated the original copy prior to updates being made, and then also a portion that's supposed to be post updates. I was just for purposes of just sort of streamlining this, Mr. Pelletier, if you could be amenable to the idea of, let's say, looking at that side-by-side comparison, and then maybe within a day or so, just, indicate whether or not, updates have been made. If they haven't been made, communicate back to the board.
I would be more than happy to do
Yeah.
so.
And then it's just a question then of posting the updated portion of that master plan being the housing section. So rather than having us go through as a group back and forth. All right. Any questions with respect to that? Everyone down with that, or have a burning desire to go through it right now as a whole?
I'm good.
All right. All right. Next order of business is a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for RPC Commissioner appointment. Right. As it stands now, we recommend to the Board of Selectmen commissioners to the Regional Planning Commission. Right, we recommend 2 and an alternate. All right. So currently, right now, the commissioners that we have, I believe, are who do we have here? Tim Moore, Jay DeRoche, and who was the other one? Daryl Britton. And I believe it's Daryl Britton's term that's up. So we're looking to appoint somebody who'll recommend to the Board of Selectmen. Does anyone have a burning desire to be an RPC commissioner? All right. If you go to the next page, you'll see something that looks like your job as a commissioner. Right? What that role entails.
It should probably be somebody from the commission here, right, from the planning board, I would think.
Yeah, I think
We have somebody on this as a selectman there, so I think it would be good to have someone here if somebody could do it.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Well, if, for purposes of advancing the discussion, if no one, I'm willing to put my name forward, the RPC commissioner,
There you go.
if the board is amenable to that.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So if someone wants to make that motion.
I'll make the motion to appoint Richard Anthony as to the Rockingham Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? It's not too gratuitous voting in the affirmative for myself, I hope. Four zero zero. Right. In keeping with the RPC theme, all right, you'll see that there's a draft motion. The planning department, we've received a copy of a letter sent to the Board of Selectmen regarding renewal of our Rockingham Planning Commission dues. Right.
Yeah, I received the letter as well, and I did hand it to Greg, to the town manager. So he's already aware of it. It's just a matter of us saying yes.
All right, so I think being a member of the RPC, I mean, if we can send a commissioner to the RPC, perhaps it would be, it would behoove us to also to pay our dues and be a member. So I move to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they renew the town of Plasto's membership in the Rockingham Planning Commission and pay the requested dues in the amount of $8,685.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on the subject, the merits of renewing our membership or anything like that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
It'd be kind of crazy not to do it, seeing as going for the circuit rider and everything, right?
Yeah, it'd be awkward, I think, right? All right. I'd asked Shay to forward an email. Looks like Mr. Kane might have, it's circulated a couple times with respect to traffic calming, but it looks like a consulting firm had reached out to the various, at least in the context of the Conservation Commission. The planning board was also CC'd on it, but soliciting input of some kind with respect to traffic calming that's happening on Main Street. Just to opine a little bit on that, I think we all recognize that there's a problem with respect to Main Street. And, the
Past
speed.
month has been a demolition derby.
Yeah, so, I mean, the most recent outrage was that you had a traffic, an accident involved, I believe, approximately exactly four cars.
4 cars.
A couple of them might have been turned over, people trapped in the vehicles.
Med flights.
Two med flights.
2 med flights.
Right, and yeah.
Right
An
around the
infant,
corner
I
from
think
my
an
house.
infant was involved, right in front of your house?
Right around the corner.
Yeah. So I think it's, we have a member of the planning board that's had, I think this might be the 4th car under whatever circumstances has come through his front yard, through his fence, smashing up a telephone pole and then coming through the front of the yard. I think if we can go back in time, a car parked in front of his driveway might have been struck from behind by somebody, and people sent to the hospital and things like that. So I think traffic calming should be a full municipal town effort.
They've had a lot of details out there since those accidents, police details.
No, I appreciate
A
that
lot.
too. Just even having a police officer being visible, it immediately sort of kind of changes the atmosphere when you're tearing down the road. So.
Yeah, within the last week or so too, the town has had talks with the state,
Mhm.
because that's a state road.
Right.
So we've had, and that's the problem, right? Because there are a couple quick things you can do there, right? So we've already having some discussions about trying to at least get those quick things in.
Mhm.
This
Do
is,
do you know
this
of,
is not this is nothing new. I've been pining on this issue for years because I've come before you, and I mean, it's typically said this is a state road, and there's a certain amount that your hands are tied. So, I mean, it's something that needs to be dealt with, and something that needs to be dealt with
Yeah,
quickly. And it's-
unfortunately, you might have taken this accident to finally get them to move.
The car that
To do
caused
at least a couple quick things anyways.
car that caused it was estimated doing 65 miles an hour down Main
Really?
Street.
65?
65 and a 30. I mean, that's just insane.
there was one that was in excess of 100 miles an hour on North Ave several years ago. So,
Oof.
Unfortunately, you're gonna have chuckleheads out there all the
Oh, yeah.
time, right? But it's things you can do to try to slow it down for short money in the beginning. I think that's what we're
Yeah,
trying to
do you
get
have
done.
it, did they, what would those things be? I mean, I just thought,
I
I
think
think I
it-
put you on the spot.
No, quick
I'm
things you'd be
going.
looking at is try to add quick stop signs, right? Especially at Pine Street.
Okay,
Make that a four-way stop sign. That's one thing, because that would slow things down. And look to probably maybe put some stop signs up at where North Ave is.
yeah, I don't know what the remedy will be for that.
And, you know-
intersection. It's a very difficult thing to remedy.
Right, and that would be, but just something quick, because what does a sign cost? A sign's, that's a cheap fix, right?
In Florida, because I'm down there a lot, they actually have, I don't like them, but they actually have concrete that causes you to slow down to just to a slight swerve in the lane. So you can't go past, you can't speed through it. You're gonna go, there's a name for it, but it's actually concrete with reflectors, full reflectors that cause you, instead of go completely straight, it just veers you to the right a little bit, just to give you that. You can't do 60 miles an hour. You can't do 30.
The thing that Florida has that we don't have, they don't get snow, right?
Correct.
So
That's
that's one of the issues. It's the snow trying
yeah.
to
Snowplows
plow.
would have a ball with that.
So that's, but I'm hoping this is something that finally will get them to move, do something.
I have seen that this seems what the state has been doing on a lot of the state roads is adding stop signs to intersections. Like
Right.
it's happening on 121, like heading towards Chester. There's a lot of this four-way stop now where it actually does. I ride my motorcycle a lot
Mhm.
around those areas, and I do see it changes the traffic pattern. It makes people more aware because you're all stopping instead of there's not this constant flow of traffic in
Right.
one direction.
And the other thing is too, if you add more stop signs to Main Street,
Right.
it's going to force some of those trucks out to 125. Then they're not going to want to keep coming to a stop, especially if it's on a hill. So
The street's pretty flat.
well, yeah, just for some context and to keep the discussion going. I mean, just from my perspective, I know that there's been ongoing discussion, right? But, I think, when the discussion is episodic, then it's in and out of the public consciousness. And there's a level of, you have to reinvent and reintroduce people to whatever narrative has happened. And I'm thinking, again, with respect to the master plan, the village center is we have a village center, right? That's part of the master plan. And, transportation is a part of the master plan. So in that sense, the planning board does have, some input, and we can provide some input. So the letter you see in front of you, or the email, all right, is from, you'll see that it's from Environmental Coordination. All right, that's the title of the Deb Kuhn. And that's the letter that was sent to the Conservation Commission and other municipal boards, including the Planning Board, asking for input with respect to the traffic calming. All right, so to that end also, you'll see that with respect to that traffic calming request, where there's a lot of environmental stuff on that letter, and that's because it was addressed to the Conservation Commission. Right, but I did reach out and speak to Deb Kuhn, all right, today, and she's open to any type of input, whether or not it's coming from individuals, citizens, or in this case, specifically the planning board. All right, so, we could do something where if we wanted to draft something or put something together and maybe the board looks at it and says this sort of reflects, what our priorities are, with respect to master plan and things like that. And we could provide that information. And just for everyone's context, there's also a Department of Transportation DOT number associated with the traffic calming program for Main Street. All right, and just for,
Yeah, and the one they did too, I believe, from Main Street was really just the library to the railroad tracks.
correct, this is the one that's being referenced in this letter is from the library to the railroad
And I know
tracks.
where the state was kind of looking at that one. I think they're leaning towards kind of narrowing certain areas to choke it a little bit. I think that's where they were leaning towards
Well,
in that stretch.
again, the number 40641 is the DOT project number. So if you go out to the DOT site and then, maybe, it makes sense. I was wondering if, Shay, would it be possible to link this DOT site for this traffic calming and have it posted to the planning board site or something like that?
Sure.
Just so that, again, it's for traffic calming. Because it is an extensive document and there's a lot of information that's on it, and specifically, options available. It isn't just narrowing things. They do talk about, perhaps raised crosswalks, which is sort of a functional way of slowing traffic, but also, if it's a raised crosswalk, the people going across the crosswalk, you can see them better. All right. So it's functional in that sense, but it also has the advantage that if you hit some of these, you can't hit them at high speeds.
If you do, you're going airborne.
Well-
Yeah, or blowing out,
It's kind of like the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not as bad as it used to be though when it first went in. It's kind of
No,
calmed down.
it's kinda settled.
It's settled,
It's
right,
settled.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
But
settled.
when that first went, that thing was. But yeah, and I know they won't do everything that they're talking about because there's a certain dollar amount that's there.
yes.
Yeah, of course.
Well, again, of the options, they also mention, they give some examples. It's about a 46-page document. That's why I'm saying it's probably worth having it up there so that if, we see this, people can be directed to it. And like some of the options involve roundabouts.
Yeah.
Right? And they give specific areas where if you were contemplating a roundabout, where you could put it. All right. I think in around Town Hall, there's some there's a conceptualization of what that might look like. I think there's one in around the library. I think that's, so they're looking at like maybe a roundabout.
There was naked stuff, but I know when we looked at it before, when they had the open house at the library that one night, I think if you go with the roundabouts, then you're not going to have anything else because I think that would use up all the money. So that's what it is. We got to figure out what the biggest bang for the buck is what the
Well,
state has to go with.
well, if the roundabouts, again, after running around looking at roundabouts all over the place from Newburyport, Exeter, into Haverhill and things like that. I mean, you don't have to, you can go with something there's a range of possibilities. I mean, there's some where it's relatively almost notional. And then there might be like some sort of a landscaping or architectural or something like that. But it's not, or you can go with something that's ridiculous that looks like something a roundabout in Paris or something.
That's what you do. Because I know one time somebody even mentioned a roundabout at North Ave.
Oh, I don't know. We did enough.
Exactly. In front of the library, I think would be tough too. Here,
Yeah.
you got a little more room.
Yeah, you got a lot more room here.
That house on the corner is landscaped to the lot, and then
Right, unless we get that like land that's across the street from there. I don't know. I don't know who owns that. That might be an option. I don't know.
In the document, like on the final page of the document, they talk about sources of funding and things like that. And the suggestion was, again, it's a lot of it's bromidic, but you at least have to say it. It references, that that Plastow should be moving to look at various funding sources. I mean, there's a safe rides to school or something like that is referenced, and I think we did try to,
They did do it. That's what was done out in front of Paul,
yeah,
the safe routes.
right.
That's what that is.
So they list a couple of those things and potential funding or state and federal funding. And to that end, I mean, I don't know what federal funding is available, and I don't know what state funding is available, but I think that means reaching out to individuals that would know, right? Start for reps, or maybe even like a executive counselor of some kind, whoever's at at least the state level. Maybe DOT, if put, is there additional monies or something that maybe we're not aware of, or people that are there now that we could exploit because we haven't asked. But again, I think this document should be out there. It's it's a very extensive discussion.
Yeah.
And to that end, November 13th, there's a public hearing of some kind that'll probably be talking about traffic calming. At least this is coming from what Deb Kuhn said. Right. And I assume that it's going to be done at the public library. She didn't, she was a little light on the details.
That's usually what they tend to do because it's easy for everybody to get in and out where it's 1-4.
Right. So, I guess thematically, if we're going to, we should probably look at this document. We should probably put together some ideas, or at least, a response coming from the planning board, what we would like to see. And then also with the idea that people are going to be showing up on November 13th. And, it would probably be good if we were there to ask questions, not maybe as the planning board, but as members that are interested in having some
No,
sort
I
of
think when you
public-
show up for that, we'll all be individuals. Like if selectmen are
Yes.
there, we're going to be residents. We're not going to be selectmen.
Exactly.
Do you know what day the 13th is offhand, by any chance?
It's the day after the 12th.
But before the 14th.
Thursday.
So
Is
what?
it Wednesday?
It's a Thursday.
The Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, for the record, the Main Street traffic calming study is available on the planning department website currently. So you can find it there under reports, studies, and surveys.
Okay.
So it's on that page already.
Now, does it show, because if you go to the DOT site, it has the full different iterations. Doesn't just have the most recent one. It shows all the different iterations going back, historically. I guess that's what I was interested in, like just saying that, I mean, it's been an ongoing discussion that I think is,
Yeah, the last one, they had a lot of displays out there where you could see the different options.
no, it's, the roundabout stuff, what a raised crosswalk looks like. There was some sort of notional doing something with a crosswalk in front of,
Well, the only thing with the
Hall.
raised crossing, I just wonder how that would impact the plowing, right? Because I think the raised crosswalk would be great if you put one in front of the library, at the corner where Westville is, and basically where all the crossings are.
Yeah.
Paulwood School right here in front of Town Hall. That was so, by the time you get going, you're stopping.
Yeah, they're actually speed humps, they call
Right.
them. Thing is the snowplow hits that, it's gonna rip it
Rip it.
right out of the ground.
That's the issue we have up
Gonna
there.
rip it right out of the ground.
That's the issue.
I mean, they'd have to, the plow drivers would have to know they're there, which they obviously wouldn't know they're there. And they'd have to slow that truck down immensely. Because if they hit it at 20 or 30 miles an hour, it's gone. The weight of that plow, it's gone.
probably have to be some sort of briefing or something.
Just-
For the relevant people.
Well, again, that's state-owned road, so it's state plow drivers. I mean,
Well,
it's not that they don't exist, because they do.
But I know once those get put in, the maintenance and upkeep falls to the town.
Oh, does it?
That would fall to the town, not the state, if those go in.
well,
So basically, the state's not gonna care if they rip them up, because we gotta pay to replace them.
Right, but that's
If
what
we have to
happens.
maintain that, we're not maintaining the rest of the road. So, I mean, unless we're taking over the whole road, it's a minimal.
just that point though, there is a discussion in the traffic calming that does sort of, touch on that reality, whether or not the town would, does it make sense for Plastow to take over that particular road? They addressed the fact that, would obviously be an additional responsibility, money associated with it, but I guess the caveat that they put to it is that the road would have to be built, would be before it turned over to the town. It would be built to, whatever specifications before it's, before the town accepts it. And then there's some discussion about, which I didn't read in depth, transportation type impact fees and things like that. What that would mean if, let's say, the town took it over. Or if that would be sort of a meaningful source of revenue that would, be offset whatever that expected cost is that we don't know. So again, that document is very dense with information.
I mean, if we took over the road, we could essentially say that it's not for through trucking as,
Right, you'd have more control for things like that, absolutely. But then the thing obviously comes down to, you gotta pay for the maintenance and everything else, right? So and now you're talking about plowing those roads as
That's right.
well. So you'd have to sit down and really look at, what makes sense. I mean, nobody wants to see taxes go up or anything,
no.
right?
No, I'm curious there's North Ave on the Haverhill side is going to probably be down for quite some time. I think that project's starting in either 2006 or 2007, and they're putting a roundabout before the country club, I believe, and they're adding sidewalks all the way up until Plastow. If I'm pretty sure that's part of that project as well. It's a pretty large project, and they're going to be addressing that bridge.
The little bridge that's been
Yes.
narrowed for decades,
Yes.
like the one on Rosemont Street they just dug up. A year to replace the bridge. It's a tiny little bridge. The residents I saw it online, they're taking pictures. It's all just equipment sitting there, nobody's there. The road's closed. Well, why aren't there people there? They're getting nothing to do with us, not even our state, but it's like, when they're dealing with North Ave, you're going to see the same thing. Oof.
Oh, I've always wondered, what is it that Massachusetts has where they do sidewalks as a matter of course, and we only do sidewalks as a matter of like special exception that we put as a condition when a site's being developed?
Well, they've got a state tax.
Haverhill just redid a whole lot of them in the past couple of years too.
Oh, they did with concrete too,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
concrete.
So it's all poured and,
Yep.
Yeah, if you take it over, you could always put a toll up.
We'll tie it to speed pass. Just right there. Don't worry about it.
Is there anything else we want to say on this? Like I said, if we have ideas or whatever, I think, I would like to see probably, if we draft something, maybe next meeting or the meeting after, and we'll circulate a memorandum. And, if anyone wants to add on to it, then talk about it. But I think there should be something that comes from this board. And I do encourage everyone to go out and go to that DOT link and look at the document. It's very extensive. And I think it might be worthwhile to reach out to, or at least, to the various individuals and just say that other sources of monies that perhaps we're not exploiting or that are available to us that we just don't know about. So, I could do that probably like, this week or whatever. I can just make those phone calls. But if someone's already made those phone calls, please say something. Shay, you had indicated something about impact fees being a contract reviewed, or I thought we were all set with that, where we awarded them, the company doing the impact fee assessments, we
Yep.
awarded them the contract, and shouldn't they be doing stuff already?
There's nothing related to the contract. This is something that Mr. Kane had requested be added to this meeting. But since he's not here, maybe there's nothing to discuss. I never received anything.
Oh, okay, all right. So we were talking about perhaps expanding, or talking about expanding revenue sources that we might not be exploiting. From an
Yeah, you
impact
mentioned that they hadn't been updated in a number of years,
perspective.
and everything's gone up. Costs have gone up,
Yeah,
everything.
okay. And also, I think we were talking about maybe what the planning department, whatever those fees are that are, people are interacting with the planning department, whether or not they need to be reviewed. Right, yeah, so that makes sense, and it probably makes sense to Mr. Kane. Fees. All right. I don't have too much for the planning board budget. I've been trying to coordinate with at least the town manager to kind of get in and, 'cause I think last meeting, Bill, you'd said that we were, is there something in front of us here? And we're looking to sort of review and revamp a lot of what the,
Yeah, you're gonna have your own budget now instead of it being lumped in with the planning department, so you'll have your own here.
is this here, this document that in front, does this represent
This is basically the worksheet.
that work product there? All right. Okay.
So it's really what you think for these line items that you're looking for.
So the new ones then are the ones without the object code, right? So we're looking at
Right, the legal,
legal, computer IT.
and I believe what the computer IT is gonna be, that's where you would put your line items for your emails that you want.
Right. And just, I know that when we talked about the RPC rider, did the BOS meet to kind of discuss notionally what that, I mean,
Well,
whether
the
or not-
rider, right, it was just, that was the contract that was just signed, right?
But there's monies that are going from 1/1 to 6/30. That would probably have to be, what's the word for it? It's not
Encumbered.
What is it? Encumbered?
Encumbered?
So did the BOS meet and discuss encumbering that? or
We
not?
don't look to encumber till the very end of December.
Okay.
We do that right at the end of the year. That's like our last meeting of the year.
Mr. Chair, the text that's included in the description column is just carried over from last year, so that can be updated accordingly.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I still think that before, I mean, I don't think we're going to do anything tonight on this. But, I guess in terms of what we're looking at having our own legal line item or have it broken out. I mean, that's in keeping with, legal counsel that we've engaged with. Impact fees, I know that we budgeted for 20,000, but I think
So how much to do the rest of it? That's what you were looking to do, right?
Whether or not we want to do all of it, but I think,
That's what you have to decide, how much of it you want to do.
right.
And you already got the
Was
pricing on
was
that?
money transferred out? Because I think that when we went to the BOS, there was a question of whether or not, we did the full amount, but it wasn't at the full 20,000. I think there might have been like sort of a remainder of some kind left over.
Well,
Not sure.
I don't have the dollar amount in front of me, remember offhand, but we said to be so much could be used between that and the circuit rider.
Okay.
And that number might have been 20. I'm just throwing that, I could be wrong, could have been a little more, I forget. So that's what would have to be looked at, is what you would want to get done for the impact fees for next year. Because we're doing the big one this year, right?
Yes, the safety complex. Has there been any movement, Shay, with respect to, from the consultant for that impact fee assessment of some kind for the safety complex and such?
I have not received anything
Okay.
at this point.
Because I think they're supposed to, if they have any questions of what, they will coordinate with the planning department. Or at least they should. I think that was the language that was in the
Yeah.
contract that they provided.
I'd hope that'd be what they would do.
All right. So I think, I think it's still profitable to have a sit down, at least with the town manager, to kind of get some actuals, like with respect to how much historically legal has cost the board.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing breaking it out from where we had it before. This way here, we know what each department's spending.
All right, so I think then in that sense, I mean, I'd like to know what it is historically, the planning department and the planning board has, what the cost for legal was before we stipulate, what we're asking for. All right, any questions or input from anyone? I think we should move forward on this. But I think this should be an ongoing, item that we just, until budget season is closed.
Yeah, because we got budget season now, right? I know Monday night, a lot of the budgets are going to be presented to the selectmen, which means then, I think budget, I'm assuming you guys might be meeting the next night. I don't know. I don't know your schedule. 14th, okay, so it'll be like the week after then. So I would think you'd be getting presented a lot of them then at that
Okay.
one. And then the 20th should be the joint one with the selectmen and budgets on the 20th.
Mhm.
That's when, where we get five of the department heads come in.
All right. Let me send it, again, I think I want to find out what that line item is for legal, just what it is historically over, I don't know, like a 5-year period. I mean, I know that, there are certain things that maybe,
No, some years are different than others.
yeah, exactly.
That's probably a more substantial number, but I think the same information is going to have to be requested in regards to IT and or emails, because I know that cost was a concern, but I don't know what it's going to, I'm assuming it's going to be all done through the town anyway, so we would need the cost per
Right.
account
Yeah, that's,
associated IT.
So that should be basically almost
from
be a
being
fixed-
involved in the budget, I think that line item is probably the least of my worries compared to what the amount will be for legal. I think you're looking at that line item, you might only be like 1,000 or something like that, or 2. It's not going to be a whole lot, I don't think.
All right.
Somewhere in that area.
Just a, just a question. Does the Board of Selectmen, in terms of if monies are transferred out, do you get a report, indicating, let's say, that if money was going to be transferred out of, let's say, for master plan update. Budget 10,000 and 5,000 was going to be taken out to, let's say, go to snow removal because we needed it, let's say. Is there a report that the BOS gets saying that?
We don't get a report, but what it is, we'll be told that money has to move. And we might have to stop spending in one department to pay for this, but we don't get a report.
But if you needed 5,000 from master plan update, what's the mechanism for 5,000 leaving this line item?
It's a bottom line budget, so you can move money around when you want to move money around. It's a bottom line budget.
It doesn't have to be tracked in any manner. That
You
seems,
just move it around.
I don't know how you could actually have
Oh,
a budget with, if that's how it actually functions.
well, that's how you do. Well, it's like anything else. Sometimes something might happen here, and you got to say, okay,
Oh.
you're going to have to put off what you wanted to do this year because we got to grab it and go over here with it.
I don't
Much like you do in your own
I
household.
don't disagree, but then if there's no record of it, that seems kind of, that's not how you should budget.
No, it's like I said, it's a bottom line budget, so you can move money around.
I know you can move money around, but it's my understanding, I don't know the RSA, but
Well-
I think
Well, what
there
happens
has
is
to
at
be a
the,
report. of
well, you
some
almost
kind.
think at the beginning of the year, right? You don't take your bucket of money and say, okay, here's the account for planning. Here's the account for, say, recreation. Money doesn't get put in like that. It's all in the general fund. That's where the money sits. It's not like when say the planning board budget happens, we just throw a number out there. Say it's $100,000. We don't take $100,000 and put it in planning because it sits in the general fund. There aren't all these little accounts set up.
So it's all one pot, basically.
Right.
They just hold accountability to each for their budgets.
Right.
Makes sense.
But we know when, we'll be told when, things are tight and when things are getting moved around. So we do know that,
Okay.
but there isn't a report.
So if we blew through, let's say hypothetically, we had $10,000, let's say, just because 10 fingers.
Or whatever.
All right, $10,000 for legal, and we incinerate that. So we're not going to be held to. You got $50,000 worth of
Well,
invoices.
you could be held, right? And then we'd have to make a decision whether we're going to move money and put it in that line item or not. Because that would mean we'd have to go somewhere else and say, we got to freeze here.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well-
You're using the language of putting it into a line item.
Right.
So, and I
Yeah,
think that's
when
what
you just said the line items.
I mean, I understand it's a bottom line budget, but from an accounting perspective, if let's say you're plowing the roads and you got snow all over the place and you got to plow the roads. Right. And so that line item becomes, let's say, exhausted and you need $50,000. From an accounting perspective, I'm thinking that 50,000 at least would be reflected as a series of transfers.
Well, I mean, $50,000, it couldn't come out of all one line item. It could come out of many.
Right.
It could come out of 50 line items.
But from an accounting perspective, I would expect it to show up as a transfer of some kind. So that if somebody said, where did it come out of?
The town manager is a CPA, so you can have that discussion with him.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the budget?
I have a feeling that might come up on the 20th.
Right. All right. Again, I indicated that I'm having a meeting with Jen Rowden from RPC next Monday, October 6th at 1 p.m. Just a Zoom meeting. Basically kind of, set out what it is that, what expectations are, what it looks like for RPC to be interacting with us. I'm thinking that, we want, a lot of right off just initially just master plan support is what I'm thinking. I don't know how that, maybe it becomes something with respect to traffic calming or something, maybe RPC input of some kind, whatever. But is there anything that you think that when discussing, RPC circuit rider that we want mentioned in that Zoom call.
Jen probably understands that role better than anyone.
All right. I spoke, briefly with Mr. Kane, and I believe he had him forward in the email indicating that we've gone back and forth and talked about, the various proposed zoning warrants that we're looking at. Okay. He seems to feel that, or think that those are worthy of having, run by legal for review. It isn't committing us to anything. It's just the idea that legal's going to look at it. There'll probably be some suggestions, and based on that input, we can incorporate those suggestions or take that guidance to sort of shape what those prospective warrants might look like. And then subsequent to that, we can probably make a decision as to which ones we want to move forward with. I mean, some of them are, a little more, straightforward, right? And then you have others that, we want to talk about some version of a temporary structure type of thing. Whether or not there's like some sort of, amnesty period or something incorporated, even if that makes sense enough, where, because apparently, I think, as it stands now, everything is a structure, and you're just sort of at the mercy of enforcement not coming by and taking exception to your structure, right? So whether or not that can be communicated to the general public, I think that's the difficulty we saw from last year. Was it? 'Cause it looks like people like their temporary structures, and sort of a caveat emptor that if my neighbor's being savaged and I'm not, then you've somehow, gotten by, as opposed to somebody who hasn't. And I think that's not what, you've heard things that it becomes a homeowners association as opposed to,
I think they've been in front of us enough. I've seen them. I don't see any issue if we want to have them reviewed by legal. I mean, it's not going to change anything. We're just going to get input, and then we can talk about it when it comes back. So I think that's probably, instead of keep talking about them as is, I would like to have them reviewed. So we can actually
Agree,
look at
and
them.
we are now into October.
So,
I think we're in pretty
You know,
solid shape. If you
yeah.
look at it, from,
To be honest, I think it's the best shape the planning board's been in since I've been on it.
it's nice to have sort of a little
Sure.
runway on it.
But yeah, so you might as well keep that momentum going, because before you know it, it's going to be the holidays. And then then now your back's up against timelines.
All right. So with that said, we'll send it to legal, probably tomorrow or something like that, just for review. I guess this will be the first time that we're sending something to legal, so I just probably want to be clear as to what that mechanism is going to look like, just in the, and go from there. So.
Yeah, then you see the time. Then this is a good way for us to learn too what the timeline is to
Exactly.
get things back. All
And
that.
then the invoicing process, again, it's all
This is
new,
the first
so-
action with the new attorney, correct?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. Apart from sending them the signed
Right.
contract.
So our back's not up against the wall. Perfect time to do it.
Yeah. So it's sort of a learning process immediately after this. So, and I just have one last thing, just, and I'm thinking that, I kind of thought it would be the best way to handle it. And, again, CIP, I was wondering, Shay, if you could take the lead in sort of communicating an email or something to all the stakeholders that CIP stakeholders in town, right? Perhaps CC, the chairman, the CIP chairman, Dan Kane, on it, and just probably this only for this email or whatever, CC me on it also. But just, and probably send, a copy, an attachment of the CIP spreadsheet. Just with the idea then that we want to, just be able to, we have good emails and we know we've reached out to everybody and that we're looking to start that process so that those department heads, will be corresponding with the CIP chairman. And if they want to proactively, provide information that they know historically that they've done, that, that's, you can start that correspondence now instead of having, let's say one person trying to reach out to each of the individual heads. Because I think there might have been a reference, like the police department might have sent something, and it just seemed to me it didn't make sense to chase everyone down piecemeal. So maybe just something sort of an introduction that this is what, we're doing. These are the people that are, that you're going to be interacting with, and then, whatever the next steps are.
I believe Greg had already sent out the spreadsheet to all the department heads, but I can try to touch base with him tomorrow and see where that stands and see if anything.
I mean, is that the mechanism we want to do, is have everything go through the town manager? Or, because I thought maybe it would probably be better to, just send all the department heads something and just say that, CIP, this is the CIP spreadsheet, this is the CIP chair. Please feel free to send your information. If you wanted to be the point of contact and forward it to the CIP chair as you get it, that's fine. I mean, I'm just thinking that, instead of micromanaging, whatever works best for getting the information where it needs to be, good emails, good contacts.
Greg probably sent it out because wasn't he asked to send it out to everybody?
I don't know.
I believe it was. I
Yeah.
believe he was.
So, but I don't think we've seen anything. So, I'm thinking that, I mean, they could deal directly with the CIP chair. I don't think it's necessary to have,
No, there may be no change.
department heads to town manager to CIP chair. I mean, if there are no changes, then that's something that a department head can communicate.
Yeah.
They could just say that,
Yeah, I'm not aware of
we have
anything.
10 vehicles that you don't know about that should be on the CIP.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything new being added.
Right. So,
But I can follow up and either way try to have something sent out tomorrow.
okay. Yeah, and just like I said, it'd be great if you could just CC, Mr. Kane and then, myself, just for this initial correspondence. Did you want to say something, Nolan? All right. Anyone else on CIP? All right. That's all I have. Does anyone have anything else? I mean, it's kind of nuts and bolts meeting tonight, but I think, did I miss anything? Okay. No? All right. So if there's nothing more, then we'll close this meeting at 7:24. Thank you.